New York. Good to have you with us on Al Jazeera, Ms. Zafar. Can I just begin, before we start to talk about the details of what is being fought about in court, the actual issue of an immigration ban being fought in court, the whole issue of litigation and an executive order, does that surprise you, or how unique is it really in terms of the way we deem executive orders to be adhered to in the US?
Well, it is quite a drastic executive order, just because of both the scope of it and the discriminatory intent. You know, it clearly, if you look at the language of it in conjunction with statements that administration officials and President Trump himself have made, if you look at all that together, you can clearly see that there is a discriminatory intent behind the executive order to target Muslims. And then beyond that, just the extremely chaotic way in which it was rolled out. You know, people's lives literally changed between Friday night and Saturday morning. So this just, it's unprecedented, just the vast scope of this order and the people it impacted and the way that it was implemented.
Of course, we're very clear about the case itself and the fact that this is an argument about Muslims from 7 majority Muslim nations being banned getting into the US. But in terms of the outcome, you're a practicing Muslim. In terms of the outcome for Muslims is one thing, but it does actually impinge perhaps on other ethnic groups that could be picked on in the future.
Well, absolutely. I think if a ban of this scope targeting one particular minority group, minority religion is upheld, then it opens the door for different groups and different minority groups to be targeted down the road. And again, you know, we see the government argued this tonight in court, is that the executive traditionally does have quite a wide range of discretion when it comes to deciding the nation's immigration policies. But that being said, the courts and the Constitution stand in between that authority. And however wide the discretion of the executive may be in the immigration context, he cannot violate the Constitution. And that is what this ban seems to be doing by virtue of its targeting of Muslims.
My understanding of the case at the moment is that, for example, we're talking hypotheticals now. Should the government win their case in San Francisco or in the Supreme Court in Washington, other states could come forward and reinstate you might say, the original ban. So this could be an argument that goes on for a very long time if it's not settled quickly between the states and federal government.
Absolutely, and I think you know, when we look at this ban in the larger context of statements that President Trump made while he was campaigning, and then when you look at this ban in the wider context of potentially discriminatory policies, not only against Muslims but against immigrants and African Americans and other minority groups, you know, when we look at this ban in context, we need to see that this is going to be a model for challenging the unconstitutional and discriminatory practices of this administration in the long term throughout the presidency. So, you know, when this fight is over, there will be continuing fights based on this president's purported, you know, policies that he has campaigned on.
Well, we shall see what does happen in the future. For the moment, Noor, Zafar, thanks for joining us from New York.
Thank you.
Now, the US